Imagine this. It's the summer of 1912. You're standing on the track at the Olympic Games in Stockholm, Sweden. The crowd is buzzing with excitement. The world's best athletes are warming up, stretching, lacing their shoes, getting ready to run. But when you look down, you realize something's wrong. You don't have your running shoes. They're gone. Stolen. And the only way to compete is to scramble through a box of discarded shoes, finding one that's too big and one that's too small. Would you still run? Welcome to Believe It or Not, the show where weird is real and the truth is stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Bryan, and today's story is about Jim Thorpe, the Native American athlete who wore mismatched shoes at the Olympics and still became one of the greatest athletes of all time. Our story begins in 1887 when James Francis Thorpe was born near Prague, Oklahoma. He was a member of the Sac and Fox Nation, and his Native American name was Wathohuk, which means bright path. From a young age, Jim had an incredible talent for sports. Football, baseball, track and field. He could do it all. He was fast, strong, and had a natural sense of how to move his body. By 1912, Jim Thorpe was 24 years old and had qualified to represent the United States at the Olympic Games in Stockholm. He was entered in two of the toughest competitions. The pentathlon, which is comprised of 5 different events, and the decathlon, which is made up of 10 events. These weren't just about running fast. They tested endurance, strength, and skill in everything from pole vaulting to javelin throwing. And here's where the unbelievable part comes in. On the first morning of his competition, Thorpe discovered that his running shoes were missing. Some say they were stolen. Others think it was a cruel trick by rival athletes. Whatever happened, he was left shoeless. And he couldn't exactly run barefoot on a cinder track filled with rocks and sharp pieces of debris. So what did Jim do? He searched through a box of extra shoes, and he found one, but it was too small. Then he found another, too big. Did he give up? Nope. He put on those 2 mismatched shoes, patted the bigger one with extra socks, and stepped onto the track. And here's the kicker. Even in those shoes, Jim Thorpe dominated the competition. In the pentathlon, he won 4 out of the 5 events. In the decathlon, which lasted over 3 grueling days, he crushed his rivals, finishing almost 700 points ahead of the second-place athlete. King Gustav V of Sweden handed him the gold medals and declared, "You, sir, are the greatest athlete in the world." Now here's a fun fact. Jim Thorpe didn't just excel at the Olympics. He also played professional baseball and professional football. And he even helped form what would later become the NFL. That's right, he wasn't just an Olympic hero. He was one of the founding fathers of American football. But for decades, Jim Thorpe's Olympic glory was clouded by controversy. Months after the Games, officials stripped him of his medals, claiming he had played semi-professional baseball before the Olympics, something that broke the rules at the time. It wasn't until 1983, 30 years after his death, that Jim's family fought to have his medals restored. And finally, in 2022, the International Olympic Committee fully recognized him again as the sole winner of both the pentathlon and decathlon. All of that done in mismatched shoes. Now, let's think about this story for a moment. What would you have done if your shoes went missing? Would you have quit in protest? Would you have tried to run barefoot? Would you done what Jim had done and tried to make the best of what you had? In my opinion, I would have done exactly what Jim Thorpe did. Jim Thorpe's story reminds us that greatness isn't about having the perfect gear. It's about resilience, determination, and refusing to give up. So, next time you're worried about not having the right equipment, remember Jim Thorpe and his mismatched shoes. Because after all, the equipment doesn't make the athlete. The athlete makes the equipment. Believe it or not. Wow, from mismatched shoes to Olympic gold medals, Jim Thorpe proved that true champions rise above obstacles. And speaking of champions who never gave up, next time on Believe It or Not, meet Richard Norris Williams, the man who survived the sinking of the Titanic by jumping into freezing water. Doctors wanted to amputate both his legs, but what happened next will amaze you. That's it for today's episode of Believe It or Not. Join us next time for another surprising true story. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the truth is weirder than fiction.